So very warm welcome from the SIHH 2018. We are starting off with our series of interviews, video interviews. The first time, you know, that I've been doing a lot of taped videos, taped recordings. Now it's version 2.0. We have a cameraman, and I have the big pleasure, of course, to welcome my first guest, Nicolas Baretzki, the CEO of Montblanc. It's a tradition, first interview, always Montblanc at the booth.
Alexander, it's a pleasure to start with you.
Yeah.
Not only the SIHH, but my first SIHH as a CEO.
That's correct, yes. It's
so a great honor, a great honor. A lot of excitement, actually.
Yeah, and the first interview. That's
indeed.
Okay, let's go right into what's going on. You've been presenting a series of watches that are linked to mountaineering, to outdoor sports, to easy way of life in the nature. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the idea behind and what's the concept and what kind of products we are going to see from Montblanc this year.
Actually, the idea behind was, first of all, I think it relates first to Minerva. And as you may know, this year is the 160 years anniversary of Minerva. And Minerva, with 160 years, we have such a rich history, archive, and we went digging into all these archives. And going into these archives, we've discovered so many amazing calibers from the beginning of the 20th century. And we found those calibers related to, you know, all these military use and exploring calibers that we had in the 1920s. And then we said, okay, what people would want today in this modern world? What kind of spirit can we use with those calibers? And that's how came the story of the spirit of mountain exploring, in fact. And you know, going outside, you know, having all the advantages of those former watches, you know, the readability, the robustness, but also the coolness, and enjoying it outside. And going back to nature, basically, and
precise time, of course.
And definitely
by delivering the exact time.
It's really about precision, but it's also about the readability, you know, and all the watches are amazingly legible, and it's also about robustness because it's an active, sport, and eventually that was the whole inspiration.
And perfectly fitting to the nature, you are using also bronze as a case material. So it's becoming a more and more trend these days.
I think bronze is not only about nature; it's also about this vintage look, you know, and this coming back to the spirit of mountaineering, coming back to all this inspiration from the 20s. That was also going back to a more vintage look. And it's not just bronze; it's a special alloy that we are doing, that we are using, which is between copper and aluminium, which is not only a very hard alloy, which is basically 1.5 times stronger, harder than bronze, and also that gives a great evolution, you know, a patine over time.
That would have been my next question. So the material is not stabilized, so it will live with the person who wears the watch and then change its color.
And I do think that's also why there is such a big trend on these on this material, because at the end this becomes your watch.
Yeah.
No, after 6 months, after 12 months, no one will have the same watch on his wrist.
Did you do any tests and looking how far the change of the bronze will go? Will it turn green, or what's the maximum you have achieved?
Actually, that's a very good question, because as you know, last year we had already a first collection with bronze, and I had the pleasure to wear for almost one whole year the Chrono Mono Pusher from last year, and you really see that there is a patine, an evolution, but to a certain level, which means that it's not going to turn too green or too dark, and you just see a small evolution of the color, but you do see the evolution, and but it stops after a while. Okay. So, and I think that's very important as well, you know, that the patine can come, but that you're still enjoying, you know, the watch that you're wearing.
And then there's that trick that you can clean the bronze easily with those things you use to clean your front teeth. So.
At the end you can clean, but you will see that with this kind of very hard and special alloy, really the evolution of the bronze is looking fantastic. I must say I've never cleaned mine after a year. So
no, don't do it. So. Keep it as it is. The collection is quite small. That's also good. Is downsizing something? I see a lot of brands downsizing their collections, making it as big as necessary, but not as huge as they were. Is this kind of thing you're also doing in the Montblanc collections?
Yeah, we do actually. I think it's important, to bring simplicity.
Yeah.
At the end, it's about defining the next hero product, or our client will define for us, hopefully, what are the hero products. And you don't need to have a very large collection. You have to have something which is very significant, and that can demonstrate who you are. So we're starting with a very basic, I would say, automatic date movement, and then going up, to to this collection. We have a very beautiful chronograph. I have the Geosphere, which obviously for me is my favorite of the year. And why my favorite? Because that's Montblanc, that's Minerva, that's the inspiration, from this Geosphere movement that we had in the high complication that we launched a few years ago, and reinterpreted for them.
And you can exchange a few type of straps. There's a simple leather strap.
You have different type of straps. You have this very vintage strap also that I think was very well, especially with the bronze case, and which I really like, and that we are doing in our own pelletteria in Florence.
By the way,
having the chance, of having more than one category, we're also using the synergy and the expertise from the other category, and but I think it's this watch. You have really, I think, the best example when we say readability, when we say having something very strong, a very design with a lot of character. Some very simple example, which are not simple actually. You have a double anti-reflect. On both sides of the glass, so it really looks like you can definitely dive into that watch and see all the details, which is so important when you're wearing this kind of Geosphere with detailed information on all the world time.
I always call it big cinema on the wrist.
That's exactly the point. And again, we're coming from a very complex movement, from a Montblanc, from a Minerva and Montblanc movement. So that's a new 29-25 Montblanc caliber, and why also I believe it's for me, if I had to choose one today,
it would be,
and it's not a coincidence if I'm wearing that one. That would be this particular one, because I believe that's the most expression of this new spirit of mountaineering, of this readability, of this robustness, of this vintage look, of this watchmaking also content and detail, and definitely the best value for money of our whole collection.
To finish our little conversation, I'm curious to know, you're the CEO of Montblanc International. This means you're a CEO of watches, of leather goods, of writing instruments, of accessories. Let me just ask a question that maybe a lot of our audience would like to know. The watches in the collections, how important are they meanwhile? I know you won't name any figures, but you can if you want.
No, you know well how it works.
No, but I'm interested how the growth.
I think to answer that question, it's really a double answer. Number one, it's a very important category at Montblanc. As you know, we started that category more than 20 years ago. Acquiring Minerva has given us so much richness, expertise with this 160 years anniversary, and I think that's a category that is really reflecting on the whole maison, and I think and in that respect, it's a very important category, and as you see, we put a lot of pressure. We come to the SIHH as a real watchmaker, brand, and when you enter the booth, I think there is no doubt about it. No. We're investing a lot in our watches, in the communication, in the development. We're coming at the SIHH with nearly 70 watches. We're coming with 2 or 3 new caliber, starting from this new caliber with the Geosphere with the 29-25, with the chrono pusher caliber, the mono chrono pusher, so with the 13-21, with an exotourbillon suspended. So a lot of investment. So it's a very serious business, and I believe that's clearly that's a business you can count on us to develop even further in the coming years.
As you said, I just wanted to finish the thing. I was thinking back about the very first day when Montblanc presented its watches. It was Mr. Platt at the time being, and it was so funny. I have to tell you. I think you know the story, but we saw all these watches, and then when there was a German journalist asking him, "Where is that little opening where you put in the ink?" So he wanted to say, okay, are you really going to be once a serious watchmaker? And I was just thinking of that little event. It was a little event. It was a big event because we were presenting the watches here at the SIHH. But you know, the thinking of us at the beginning was, okay, are they really going to be a serious watchmaker? I think you are, meanwhile, and
I appreciate that. Thank you, Alexander.
Anyone would ask that silly question anymore.
You know, and that's the point. I think that when Montblanc does something, we do it, as per the industry, and we do it as per the best that we can deliver. And of course, we are writing instrument from the origin, but if you see what we've been doing in leather and with our pelletteria in Florence, using already again for our straps today on most of our watches, and if you think how we've approached the watchmaking, you are absolutely right. No doubt that we are a serious watchmaker.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. All the best for you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for watching this first interview. We wish the young CEO a really steep career, and continue making those funny, not in the sense of funny, but really cool and funny and watches we like, stuff we just like.
Thank you, Alexander.
And then I think we see each other very soon.
A great pleasure, and as you say, with my age, you may see me for a few years on that seat.
And I guarantee you I will be here next year, 8:30, first interview.
You are already invited.
Thank you very much, Nicolas.
Thank you, Alexander.
Thank you for watching, and stay tuned.